Agape Love Ministries to bring this event to this community, and we are so privileged and honored to be able to have the gentleman that inspired the movie McFarland USA. So all of you who are here who have watched the movie, can you raise your hand, please? Wow, almost 100% of you. Incredible. So I'm going to ask the gentleman to come and take a seat up on this altar, and before they begin to share some encouraging words with all of you here this evening, I want to recognize some very important people that have driven and flown all the way over here from McFarland, California. And let's see, Othello Garza and his wife, David. Can you stand, please? They're here from McFarland. He was a school board member at the McFarland School District. We're also very honored, and if you were able to be with us on Saturday night, there was a very, very special presentation and proclamation was done by our fellow mayor, Sean Logan, honoring and becoming a sister city with the mayor of McFarland, California. So, Manuel Knight, could you please stand? The mayor is here with us as well. And we are so honored that you are with us, but really, we are just blessed to have this group of gentlemen with us. This whole weekend has been amazing. They have inspired kids. They have encouraged parents. They have done some things that I think is going to bring some transformation in so many people's lives. And we are just so grateful to have them with us. And what we've done throughout the weekend is we created kind of a panel where we ask questions, but we're going to do things a little different tonight. We're going to just ask them to just share from their heart and let us know a little bit of what the movie did to change their life, and what they can say to us here in Othello, and how they can encourage us to just go on with life. And it's amazing to know that every one of these young men, including Coach White, how many agree with me that Kevin Costner did no justice? He's a lot better looking. Coach White. Opportunity to come and just share from their heart what the movie did to really transform them and inspire them and leave us an encouraging word. So we'll start with Johnny Samaniego. And for those of you who don't know, or I'm sure you do, in the movie, Johnny was the football player that wasn't very good, to be honest. And so, but I like to mention these guys because they're all so close to me, and so I think I have something really funny to say about each one of them. But I'll let him share, and thanks again for being here.
God bless you guys. I wasn't any good. I actually didn't play football in high school. That's all Hollywood. That's just all Hollywood. There's a few things in the movie that aren't true. I would say about 85% true, 15% is Hollywood. First of all, it's good to be in the house of God. Amen. To God be the honor and glory. Juan, thank you. Homer, thank you for inviting us to church. Thank you for having us here. We've been here for a couple days, and Othello, it's good to see some familiar faces here. Some of our cousins, uncles, people that are related to us. We got to meet a lot of good friends, and it's just been very suggestive to be here.
I'm the third Diaz brother, portrayed in the movie. I'm the youngest. Danny and David are a little older than me. Our story is a little bit different. We were field workers. We can probably be you. We are field workers. We were raised in a big family. My parents have 7 kids, and we're all a year apart. David's the oldest. And we didn't have much. We come from a very, very humble home, but a very loving home, and very, very God-fearing home. Our parents were very strict. Our dad is a model man, an example that I think is very hard for anyone to even try to emulate. My mom was different. My mom was the disciplinarian in our home. My mom was the one, if you saw the movie, people asked her all the time. She was asked on live national television one time if the movie portrayed her right, because it showed us a very hard woman. And the truth is that the movie did not do justice at all. She is a whole lot worse than that's a fact. I'm telling you, I'm a police officer for 20 years, and I'm telling you that if I was not her side, I would put her in prison. She was a very, very tough tough woman. She did not shy away from using her hands or the belt or a stick or a spoon or whatever was nearby. There were times when David messed up and I got hit. And that's the way it was in our home. But I think that was necessary. There's 6 boys in our house and we're all a year apart. So you can imagine, you have a big family. It's tough. It's tough for mom and dad to keep you in check. I have kids of my own and it's tough. But growing up, being a field worker, being embarrassed, being ashamed of who I was, having no money. John and I were best friends our whole life, and there were many, hundreds of times that we went to races out of town, sometimes out of state, and I literally had maybe $1 in our pocket. So Johnny would always share and buy me a soda, or we would not steal, but we would kind of cheat and get extra food or whatever. We just didn't have a whole lot. And God put my dad and his farmers in our lives to teach us how to work. We began working in the fields at the age of 9, maybe 10, and we worked during the winter time when it was foggy in McFarland. It's very foggy there. We had a lot of fog delays, so we didn't go to school till 10 a.m. Well, for us, we hated fog delays. Most kids like it because you sleep in until 9 o'clock. Not us. At 5 a.m., we were up. It's freezing outside, and we're going to work in the fields. My mom takes us to school after that, drops us off in front of the school. You can imagine, it's muddy, it's cold, and we're walking to school with our field working shoes on, and it was embarrassing. So we didn't tell a lot of people that we had to work in the fields before school, after school, in the summertime. And now we're grown men, and we have our own families, our own lives, and I can tell you with all honesty that I'm extremely proud of the way my mom and my dad and the people in McFarland raised us, because it gave us.
God bless you. My name is David Diaz. For those of you guys that watched the movie, I am the chubby one. I don't know what I did to make me chubby. I wasn't chubby. I was just as skinny or almost as skinny as the rest of the guys, but Disney wanted to make me chubby for some reason. And at first, I kid you not, I was not about that. I was like, man, how is my face going to be plastered in a movie and I'm fat? What's going on there? And so, but then I started having visitors come to school. At the end of the movie, it says, where we work. I'm a counselor, at-risk counselor at McFarland High School, the very same school where I won the same title. And so I had the privilege of working at that school, and everybody's coming down. Man, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 people per day since February, and they all want to come over and buy, McFarland gear, memorabilia, and they want to take a picture with David Diaz. They know that I work there. So when I have time, and sometimes I don't have time, but I'll try to make time that I at least go take a picture with them. And one particular girl walked into my office. She drove from Bakersfield with her mom about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And mom had already come in a previous occasion, and she read me a letter. But when she brought her girl, I knew exactly what was happening. This girl, depression, way overweight. Exaggerated overweight, wanted to commit suicide because of that and because of other things. And so, I started thinking about all these things of, why am I in the movie? I am the slowest guy on the team, okay? Disney made me out to be the hero of the movie when in actuality, these guys are the true heroes. They carried our team the whole season. Yeah, at the end, on the last race, that is true. David Diaz was able to crack into the top 5 and help the team win the championship. Only the top 5 on the team score. The 6th and 7th runner, they're just there to, add more points to the other team. And so I was never able to, participate with, actually scoring, except for the state meet when one of our runners took off too quick. He ran out of gas. And for the first time in my life, I felt pressure that, oh my gosh, I'm going to be the reason why we lose. It's been my fault that I'm not running fast enough. But thank God that McFarland was able to win our first state title in 1987. We won, like Johnny said, we won 9. It's hard to win 1 in California. There's so many schools and then it's hard to win one thing. We won 9, and runners come and go. Well, the person that has always been a constant there is our coach, Mr. White. He's an icon. He knows how to get the best out of you, motivate you. Kevin Costner kind of did a little bit of justice to them, but not really. Mr. White is so much better than that because, see, Mr. White is a Christian, and Mr. White is a God-fearing man. And Mr. White led us, and showed us the way. Yes, we had Christian parents, our parents. My parents believed in 3 things. I showed that with the congregation this morning. They believed in 3 things. God, in this order, by the way, God, family, education. God, family, education. Those are the 3 things they believed in. And I like to say that there was a 4th thing that's actually interwoven or intertwined into all 3 of these. And that was work. You had to work in a relationship with God. You had to work, as a family to make it. And we fought a lot, 6 brothers. So we had to work on our relationships. And then number 3, you had to work your tail off to do well in school after a long day at work, after going to school, after going to practice, and then you had to do your homework. And so we, like my brother Domacio said, we didn't like working in the fields. And I know here in Othello, Washington, we have a lot of family, and that's their story as well. They've been working in the fields, for all their lives. My mom was in Minnesota and Nebraska, and they were migrant families just going back and forth. And 3rd grade education, and I know that you guys can relate. You guys have the same story as us.
It's hard to follow our brother Danny. He's such an eloquent and so real speaker. He wasn't chubby back then, he's just chubby now.
No, listen. I got to Othello. This is a true story. I got to Othello, and I gained 7 or 8 pounds. That's not a lie. I'm telling you, man, you guys feed us, and it's unbelievable.
So he's trying to say in about 4 weeks, he's going to look like mine. Ron had jokes, and so do we. We love you all. We've known about Othello for a long, long time. And it's such a privilege to be here in the house of the Lord. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And we've always known that. And the DNA that's in me, I believe that the Lord put in me through my mom. And there's some cousins and some uncles here who know what hard work is. And we had it. And then you intertwine Mr. White and the cross-country sport that is very, very difficult. Many people can join the sport. It's hard to run your fastest. Imagine running your fastest for a 5K. It's 3.1 miles. It's not an easy sport, and you have to be really, really resilient, really, really determined to not feel the pain, because it's painful. The Christian walk is sometimes that way also. It's not easy, but the Lord has a way, has a purpose. Imagine this. My brother Danny, he's no one up here exaggerated. No one up here said any fib or anything. What they said is the absolute truth. My brother Danny was the slowest in our family, is the slowest in our family. And imagine that. Why would God have a plan for Danny? Because our ways are different than his ways. Because our plans sometimes are quite different than what he has. So the heroicness, the attention that we may get, or specifically my brother Danny, it's for a reason. And believe it or not, who would have ever thought that minuscule little McFarland, insignificant the sport of cross country is. Trust me, if Johnny and I or my brothers would have it any other way, we probably wouldn't. But, John, wouldn't you want to wear a jersey on Fridays? A football jersey? Of course. We all wanted to be a football player because that's the sport that gets all the glamour. That's the sport that maybe gets the girlfriend. But Manuel got lucky with Maribel because, well, he was a football player. Other than that, he probably wouldn't have had anything. But our sport is difficult. It's hard. there's only 7 guys on the team, and like my brother Danny said, only 5 really score. And you go out, you run these trails, and you sport cross country, you see the movie, it's not a flat course. There's some hills and some hard parts of the course. But I think that brought us to where we are today. We are a living testimony. We can attest, we can tell you, we are not perfect. We have made some mistakes. Mr. White has talked to us individually and as a team. He'll probably share something about what the guys did in 1988, the year after. But what I can tell you is this. In 1999, Mr. White said, hey, I got a call, I met these people, we signed a contract with not Disney, with other people. And the movie situation came and then disappeared. It was this actor going to be Jim White and then not, and then back and forth. And so we never really believed that there was going to be such thing. And as my brothers and Johnny shared earlier, there has been many other more deserving. But why? Maybe it's because God wanted us here today in Othello to share our story. And our story is very simple. We didn't have a TV growing up. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my dad and mom were very strict. Well, my mom ran the show, so whatever my mom said, that's what happened. We didn't have a TV. And so, like my brother Danny said, we fought 3-on-3, we played ball. There was some red stuff lying around, that's blood. And we were tough boys. And we were not the biggest, and we were not the strongest. But we had what it took to defy any odds. And we needed that DNA in us. And what you saw in the trailer with Kevin Costner, when he gets up and he says, we get paid by the field. Y'all here can I mean, Eli, I don't know if you did piece work before, but we didn't get paid by the hour. It was por contrato. It was, you know how it was. And that's what we did. And we got paid by the acre, by the field. And God was good back then. Our dad was able to have connections, and we're blessed now. We didn't really understand it, as Domacio said earlier. I wasn't as embarrassed as maybe he was. I kind of knew, being the oldest, I had a lead. And my mom and dad maybe left me in charge, so I wasn't as embarrassed to have the dirty shoes coming in, first period walking in, to your biology class and still being. I was actually looking forward to go to biology class because, you thawed out in there, it was warm. What Mr. White did for us is what I coach cross country now, is what we do for our kids. And Mr. White took Domacio and Johnny to Germany. He took my brother Gabriel to China. He took Thomas and I to Taiwan. We were the first group, Mr. White, that ran on Seoul, Korea back in 1988. The Olympics were in Seoul, Korea, if y'all remember. We ran on that track. We were the first ones. We were there before the Olympians were there, when they were building it. And I'm thinking, wow, God, you're so awesome. Who would have ever thought that we could say that? And so, throughout the trajectory of this whole process, my parents are in the movie. My mom is depicted in a very nice way in the movie, and she's kind of disappointed because we all want the character up there to really depict who you are. And my mom can take on anything, anytime, anywhere. And so when they asked her, was she okay with the role, she said no. And so they did a good job because I wasn't that nice. But going back to our story, I knew at a very young age that I was not going to. I loved basketball and I loved all sports, and I knew at a very young age that I was not going to be those things. But this sport of cross country and track has been so good to us, and now we're involved in those sports. I coach both sports. And we do what Mr. White did for us. And so we are very excited with the whole process of the movie to finalize everything. It's nice if you can close your eyes and imagine your 7th grade teacher and what you went to school. And for 99% of us here, we know that teacher. We can't go up there and touch that person. For us, it was Mr. White. So imagine since 6th grade, 7th grade, having that person in your life, and still do. And so we give credit where credit is due. And that.
Thank you, thank you. Now, what I'm going to say is this. What do you think about these guys? How would you like to have been a coach to work with these guys? Excellent, see? Disney does us a big favor. Real big favor. Not just making the movie, but making the movie about these particular guys. It's the only team I've had 9 state championships in 24 years of coaching. We've had other championships, but not necessarily state championships, that I can say about a Christian team like this. That's excellent. In the movie, you saw I could have gone to Palo Alto. My comment on that was, it's Hollywood. That never happened. Did I have a chance to go elsewhere? Yes, I did. But bigger, to me, was not better. And it shouldn't be for you. Bigger shouldn't be better for you. Do what's right. Do what's in your heart. God had a place for me. Didn't really know about it, where I was going, why I was there, but I was. He had bigger, better things in my life than winning a championship. Let me get off that stuff. As an example, going through the airports, we're recognized. It's not what we want. Hey, coach. Yeah, hi, who are you? I don't know. But we have made a difference from McFarland, about our town, our community, and we got off the airport and stopped at McDonald's. Mom got us here about 12 o'clock, and I met these friends right here. Stand up. In McDonald's. They had heard about the movie, but never seen the movie. And since they have gone to Idaho and watched it. Did you love it? Love it. And that's what it's about. It's about getting to know the movie, because there's things in this movie that touch your heart. They grab my heart all the time. Things in the movie that I use as Christian examples. We need to walk in somebody else's shoes, just like Christ did. We need to do this to understand the feelings. Why did he come to earth? He walked down here just like you and I, as an example for us, so that we have the aspiration to be like him. We're told scripture after scripture to do what? Be Christ-like, be Christ-like. I did work in the fields with them. We didn't do cabbage, sorry. There was no cabbage around, that's Hollywood again. That was a coastal crop, but it made for good viewing and a good understanding when he says, by the field? I mean, you got acres and acres of cabbage out there. That probably blew his mind. So we need to do that. We need to be in somebody else's shoes. So I use that example of the shoe thrown in the first part of the movie. Let's take that and make something positive of it, which I just did, tried to. Now I tell them, no, I didn't throw the shoe. I wouldn't have missed if I'd thrown it. But I didn't even teach or coach in Boise. That is Hollywood also. I never did get fired twice in the movie. That's Hollywood, and that's okay. You know, when we went to see the movie the first time, my wife and I, with the guys, Disney picked us up, and they treated us nice. Disney picked us up in McFarland, carried us 2 hours, 2.5 hours to Burbank, fed us a Greek buffet, showed us the movie, gave us popcorn, water, treats, little cookies when we came out, put us on the bus, carried us home. I got in bed that next morning at 1:30. But that's what Disney did for us. And when we saw the movie, we had to go in with a very, very positive attitude because I knew the story. I knew what was going to happen. I knew I didn't want to be shown riding the party bike. But that was all right because it made the story interesting and funny, even though it was my expense. That's okay. So I went in with a positive attitude. That's what you have to have in your life, a positive attitude. When Danny, we saw the movie, when Danny finishes the race and wins it for us, and that was true, that wasn't Hollywood, he had to have a very positive attitude and keep his focus on the goal, on the finish line. What do we need to do in our life, folks? Keep our focus on Christ. Keep our focus on heaven. That's our goal. That's what he had to do. He was determined. We need to be determined. It's going to carry you through. He won it for us. There's other situations I use as character building, or at least Christianity things that I can use as an example, like Jose. Jose started too fast in the movie, didn't he? He burned himself out. And he got too excited, if that was it. I don't know, what his reason was, but what he did was, and sometimes we do this in our life, we run real fast, and then all of a sudden, oh, you know, I'm tired of doing it that way. No, I don't want to go to church. No, I don't want to go to class. No, I'm going to skip Bible study. I'm tired of doing it too long. Like these boys said, they've been doing it since they were this big. So we need to use his example there. And we have to have a steady, steady goal. Just like they said, Christianity is hard. But you know what? It's worth it. It's worth it. You keep trucking. You keep going. The boys talk about God. I can talk about God. The boys talked about their parents. I can talk about my parents the same way. I guess I could have been called a migrant because my dad built one house and we lived in a house. And whoever wanted to buy whichever house they wanted, we would move to the other house. So I migrated from house to house, not state to state. My wife considered herself a picker because she was from Idaho. She had to go out and pick up spuds. The first time she picked up spuds, she said, I don't know what a spud is. But she had to pick them up. She was raised in New Mexico. She says, you know, God had a purpose for me. Kept me around all the Indians and the Mexican kids there so I could get used to it. Now we live amongst it, and that's great. What the boys did tell you, though, is every one of them were involved with drugs. And they didn't want me to say this, or didn't know I was going to say it. But you can see it as an example in the movie, because the mom drug him out of bed, and they drug him to work, and they drug him here and drug him there. So did I. That's very evident in it. Well, my dad did the same thing. My mom didn't drag me out, it was my dad. I stayed in bed as long as I could. And then I hear the truck start. Uh-oh, I'm out of here, man. I've got my clothes on and running. Because I knew I'd get slapped in the head. And my brother and I used to fight all the time when he was building houses. And he'd break us up, march us outside. And so we got used to being slapped upside the head, so we ducked. Well, that was a mistake. As soon as we ducked, he went bang. So, you know, and you've probably done the same thing. We had very strict parents, not to the extent that they did, but I appreciate having loving parents as you do. I'll finish up with this, and we talk about attitude, and I use the example of David and Goliath. David was anointed to be king. He didn't become king right away. Joshua was chosen to be the leader. He too didn't take leadership right away from Moses. It took him 40 years. I don't know the years that David took to become a king, but I know it's quite a while. He was anointed by Samuel and was not a king. But he was told by his dad, David, since you're a cross-country runner, run this food to your brothers. I made that up. He ran the food to his brothers, fighting on the line. They're fighting with the Philistines. I've been to Israel. I've been to the valley where they had the fight. Elah, it's called, the valley of Elah. And it's quite a wide valley. And even then, when David got there, all he could hear from the Philistines was a 9'9" giant. Can you imagine how tall it would be? Look at the basketball goal, George. 10 feet. Oh, that's almost 3 inches under that. Come on, that guy's huge. And he challenged the Israelites for 40 days, folks. 40 days, and nobody took up the challenge except David. So what's wrong with you people? Where's our warrior? Yeah, right, you go do it. I will. I will. Saul puts on his armor. No, I'm not used to this stuff. I was raised out tending sheep. I'm pretty good with a sling, though, because I've had a lot of practice with that. And also Saul, he said, I killed a bear and a lion with my hands. By Scripture. That's a pretty powerful guy. Or one that has God on his side. Anyway, he takes his little pouch and he gathers up how many stones? 5 stones. Somebody tell me now, was that a lack of faith? Did he pick up 5 when he only needed 1? All it took is 1 stone. Why did he need 4 more? Help me out. He had 4 giant brothers. And he didn't realize that. 4 giant brothers. Okay, bring 1. I'll take them.